dream up your greatest fantasy and let's kick off Star Trek Day 2022 with this week's
Initial Thoughts. Part 1. Initial Thoughts. Part 1. Initial Thoughts.
Welcome again, Trek nerds, as we review the third episode of the third season of Lower Decks, Mining the Mind's Minds. We're going to talk about a glowing orb worth of spoilers if you'd like to avoid fantasy life now. This is an absolutely quintessential episode of Lower Decks. Another normal day in the life of Starfleet crews turned strange. Two Kali-class ships and Riker's old ship, the Hood, are at Genghis 4 dealing with a Federation science team that starts having problems with silicon-based life on a supposedly lifeless planet. The Carlsbad crew is tasked with relocating the science outpost, while the Cerritos crew must carefully remove psychic minds that turn you into stone by enticing you with your deepest fantasies. Through this, we learn some things about our main characters. We learn, much like LaForge, that Rutherford has a crush on Leah Brahms, and I have a like for bringing Susan Gibney back to voice her iconic role. That leads me to another gigantic like for learning Mariner has been, let's say, getting close with Jen the Andorian, who, up until now, has been presented as someone Mariner didn't like. So pairing them and the bucking of labels is just a priceless moment in Trek. However, when you put these two incredible likes together, you get a dislike. I did have a good laugh at Leah and Jen trying to entice the others together, but it feels a little cheap playing to the stereotypical, mostly male nerd audience of the Trek franchise, with two ladies getting close. Both crews are working on their particular tasks as fast as possible in an effort to show the others who's better. In true Mariner fashion, she takes the whole thing personally that the Cerritos has a reputation about it of a ship of misfit goof-offs. This leads to trouble and the short-lived death of Stevens when Mariner convinces him it's a matter of pride, and his frail body can't get the psychic minds he's holding into the collection bin, and cracks two of them open. Apparently when opened up, they don't probe your fantasies but your nightmares. And the imagery that comes out is absolutely incredible and gets a like. A Borg snake, Klingon clowns, and my personal favorite Andorian werewolf Jen. I'm in love with the over-the-top nature of this. They take refuge in a cave where there's overtones of the TNG episode Silicon Avatar, where another silicon-based life form, the crystalline entity, chased members of the crew of the D into a cave like this. I have a like for two Kali-class crews having time to clear the air, and find out the Cerritos crew isn't being looked down upon by other Starfleet personnel, but in fact are looked up to for all their interesting adventures that they get into. The like is especially for this crew rehashing many of the troubles we've seen the Cerritos lower deckers get into over the last few seasons. The one concerning thing for me is that they know this group was put on an alien trial, even though it was not actually a trial. I'm sensing similarities to Allegiance where people seem to know a little too much about you. Anyway, they go deeper into the cave and pull the mask off the Scooby-Doo villain, revealing a main orb that's gathering all the data from the smaller ones, but hooked up to Federation tech to record it all. While all this is going on the planet, back on the Cerritos, Captains Freeman and Mayer are trying to defuse the situation between the rock people and the scientists. While Tendi starts her senior science officer training and has to be Freeman's science officer for the day. It's nice to finally give Tendi something worthwhile to do, but I've got to give the whole plot in the conference room a dislike. What's largely just two captains arguing over who gets a rock isn't all that exciting, and borders on filler, until the two plots converge at the end. Tendi smashes the rock open, revealing a listening device, designed to transmit back to the planet as the scientists and rock people are in cahoots gathering spy data, and the gifted rock was just a ploy. There's a nod to the episode Home Soil when the scientists say they didn't know the rock creatures were alive at first. Nice character building for Tendi, and way to bring the plots together. I have another like for attention to detail in the last space shot of the Cerritos and Carlsbad, showing a stock Kali-class ship versus the now twice refit design of the Cerritos. And one more like for good measure, bringing back the best Lower Decks running joke, the Great Koala. In casual conversation, Stevens doesn't believe he was brain dead for 10 minutes because he saw a giant koala sitting on a black mountain. This line of cut-off dialogue ties together Lower Decks' version of an all-seeing god with the mysterious black mountain that one must climb and face trials to regain their corporeal life. I absolutely love every time they bring this joke around, and the lore about it keeps getting built up. I really hope this spills over into live-action Trek, and we get a nod to the Great Koala. Another wonderfully funny episode of Lower Decks. If you haven't yet, go check out our new massively catchy music video, Breaking the Prime Directive. And join me later in this Star Trek day for another video compressing all the interesting tidbits of news we learn. Thanks for watching. I've been your host, Dustin Wing.